Hello guys, and welcome back to another Tweaker Man video. So this is a video on capacitors. Now I've been planning to do this for a while, so let's just start off by telling you all the different types of capacitors that are out there. There is electrolytic capacitors, which are generally used for power storage, filter caps, and then there's polyester capacitors, which are small film capacitors. They tend to be metallized polyester, so they're a film but they're metallized. And then you've got polypropylene metallized capacitors, which tend to be sort of aluminium metallization or aluminium plating in a way on top of a polypropylene. And then you get proper film capacitors, which are copper, and then they're insulated generally with either polypropylene or paper. And then you can also get those in oil, which tend to be more expensive. Then you get aluminium foil capacitors again. Some of those are aluminium paper in oil again. Then you get pure silver film capacitors that tend to be the most expensive, and some of the makes can be ridiculously expensive, and a lot of those are not generally concerning your average person, because you'd have to be extremely wealthy to afford a capacitor of £1,000. So where would you look to upgrade capacitors? Well, one of the first things you would generally do to upgrade your crossover in your loudspeaker. And if you've got a loudspeaker which is lacking bass, you would look for a capacitor that could improve the bass. If it was too bass heavy and you didn't like it, you could look for a capacitor to reduce the bass. Now, in a crossover, it's not just the capacitor that changes the sound. There's inductors and resistors in there as well. And even when you buy a set of speakers, even if you spend £3,000 on a set of speakers, if you take the drivers out and look at the quality of the parts in the crossover, generally they are poor, even at that price bracket, because this is the part of the speaker that the manufacturer skimps on. And if you've got a set of speakers at £3,000, you want to take the crossover out, have a good look at it, because you could make significant improvements there and then really improve the sound of your speakers. Again, with the crossover, it's not just about capacitors. It's about the inductors and also the resistors. More things that you'd want to look at upgrading. So let's look at all the different brands. So you've got Audio Note. They make 3 different types of capacitors here. They make their Audio Note silver foil capacitor, Audio Note copper foil, and then Audio Note tin foil. Now these are well regarded capacitors, but they're not cheap. So you come off of those, and then we can go back to the capacitors. They're rolled down. And then you've got your electrolytic capacitors from Audio Note, and I really rate these. There's different types here. So we've got the standard electrolytic capacitor from them. Then you've got this one, which I generally use, which is, I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce that, so I always call it a Kaisa, but I'm not entirely sure. That's probably the wrong pronunciation. And then you've got this last one here, which I'm not going to try to pronounce either. Now, I've used these ones as well, and they are very good. Even the standard ones are pretty good. So let's come off of those as well and go back. So you come down here, these are very nice capacitors. The Amtrans are Japanese. I've used those. These ones are made in the USA. And then you've got lots of other, the Uri caps, I can recommend those. I've used those. There's endless capacitors. So one of the areas you would look to improve the sound quality of your amplifier is to upgrade the electrolytic capacitors. And there's one company down here that I've recently used and I find it fantastic. And these are the Supertech. Now these are split foil capacitors, and they have little tears in the foil, and I've put those in the receiver in the studio, and that receiver is just, now it's broken in. It's sounding absolutely wicked. So these I highly recommend. You might all have your own favourites, but this is just my opinion on them, and you may be new to this, so you may not be that confident of upgrading parts in your systems, but there is another make down here which make quite good, reasonably priced capacitors. This Obligato. Now they are very reasonably priced. So this one here, the Silv capacitor, is their sort of flagship one at the moment. This is metallized aluminium polypropylene film. Now these are particularly good if you want a budget and you want to maximize the sound quality. Now there's another company that I'm going to mention in a minute. It's not a company, it's a site that I've been using just to get ideas on how different capacitors sound. This guy has basically reviewed lots and lots of capacitors, and this is one place I would suggest you start if you're looking to alter the sound of one of your pieces of equipment or your speakers. Another really reasonable capacitor, the JB caps, this JFX series. These are the premium film caps, polypropylene capacitors. Now, these are really good for replacing electrolytic capacitors. So in your amplifier, you can use a film cap up to 10 microfarad to replace an electrolytic. You can't really go over that, but anything under that. And these are the ones that I used in the receiver in the studio. And what I did is exactly the same value as the picture there, the 4.7. Now I used 15 of those to replace the electrolytic capacitors. They have really transformed that amplifier, the receiver I should call it, because it's got a radio built in, but it really has. I mean, I have elevated that receiver to ultimately a really high level that you wouldn't expect to get from a receiver like that. I would say it would compete with anything over £2,000 easy. I mean, that is so good. And another good capacitor I will recommend. So these OME polystyrene capacitors. These polystyrene film capacitors are highly regarded due to their most desirable electrical characteristics, such as exceptionally high insulation, low leakage, low dielectric absorption, low distortion, and excellent temperature stability. Now these are highly regarded by audiophiles, and I put a few of these in the receiver, in the TIAC receiver as well, and I can highly recommend these as well. They're very reasonably priced. So if we pop down there, so they only go up to a certain, they're done in picofarads. So when you look down here, 12 picofarad, they're very reasonably priced. Now I've just ordered another load for the phono preamp, which I'm going to be taking a bit further over the next month or so. See, £3.75. I mean, that these are really good value. So that's another area you should really look at. Audiophiles for a long time has regarded polystyrene capacitors of absolutely excellent quality. Now, talking about high-end capacitors, these V caps here from VH Audio. Now I know VH Audio. I used to deal with him when I ran my audio business. He actually supplied me one of the cables that I used to use. He's based near Las Vegas in the States. But when I show you how expensive these are, so we've got this, that's a tin foil capacitor there. This copper foil capacitor. Let's go on to here and look at the prices. And when you get up to the sort of desired capacitor that you'd want into a crossover, so they don't really go up that high. A lot of these would be used in a tube amp. So you're looking at £1,119 for one capacitor. Now the good thing about film capacitors is they don't tend to wear out like electrolytic capacitors. Most filter caps, they last for around about 10,000 hours before they start deteriorating. And even the Audio Note Kaiser ones that I've got in my power supply on the Quad 405, they've been in there a lot longer than that already. Not to say that I've noticed much degradation in the sound quality, but I will be looking to change them in the future. And what I'm going to do is use the split foil, but I'm going to go from 10,000 microfarad up to 15,000 microfarad. So the thing with an electrolytic capacitor is it's like a battery where the power goes in and it stores in there, and obviously it flows out, but more electricity is flowing into it as well. So the bigger the cap, the better your bass response, and a lot of those lower frequencies become. And but you can't increase it too high, because you can blow the diodes in the amplifier. You can increase it steadily. So if you follow a guy called Angela Gilbert Young, he has these extra power packs, he calls them. And what he does is he uses a soft start on there. So instead of you turning the electric on and the electric going straight in and bang straight into the capacitor, what it does is it ramps it up slowly and builds up the power like a battery. So capacitors, they play a big part in all of your hi-fi system. Now the cheaper ones tend to be polyester capacitors. Let's come off of here. I'll show you some of those on here. Now, I'm not promoting Hi-Fi Collective. I use these. It's a very good company, but you can use who you like. But this is close to me, and I know the guys in there. They're really helpful and they're really good. So when you come to polyester capacitors, let's come back off of here. Come back off of there. Right, okay. So you come down to here, and there's a company that make these called Mallory. Now these are effectively made for guitar guys. So you'd have them in a guitar amp and stuff like that. And these are polyester metallized. And these are not meant to be as good as the polypropylene. It's all to do with the insulation and the way that the flow goes through the insulation. It's about the dielectric constant, and so these are tubular metallized. Now these are really reasonably priced, and I've used these, and I'm about to replace these for the polystyrene ones in my phono preamp, because I think I can take it one step further. At the time when I did it, the polystyrene ones, because I was buying a hell of a lot of stuff at once, I just couldn't afford to do it at that point, so I put these ones in. But I am now looking to upgrade the film caps in the phono preamp. Now at the moment I've got in there, I've got a couple of JB caps, okay, the JFX premium film caps, but what I did put in there originally was these, but these are polyester film caps again. So these are similar to the Mallory, but the Mallory ones are quite bassy. They're good for a guitar amp, but hi-fi, I'm having my second thoughts about these. But these are metallized polyester film caps. So when you come back off of the Jantz end here and you go up to the better models, so this is what I'm currently using in my speakers at the moment, which are the Silver Z caps, but these are also polypropylene. They're not actually pure film. They're not aluminium, what do you call it again now? Aluminium foil. Got to get my words out, or copper foil. So polypropylene, metallized polypropylene, are not as good, in my opinion, as a aluminium foil capacitor, or a copper foil, or a silver foil, because they have a separate dielectric. It's not plated onto the dielectric like these are, and there's a big difference in sound quality if you can afford to step up. So I've got these in the speakers at the moment, but I will be replacing those as well for some copper foil caps. Now at the moment he's out of stock of these ones here, which are the ones that I want to put in there, because they're still very reasonably priced for my, so I need a 2.2. Come on to here. So there's a 2.2 out of stock, £64. Now if I go for audio note ones, they are nearly double that price. Now I haven't tried the audio note, I haven't tried these. I'll go by the Humble Hi-Fi, but he hasn't reviewed the audio note ones either. So I can't tell you how good they are, but let's come off of the audio, off of those, and go to the audio note ones, and then we can have a look at the price of those. That's even if they go down to that microfarad which I need. They may not. Yes, they do. And they're not that much. Well, they are a little bit. So they're £108, £100.81 plus the VAT. So you're looking at £120 for those, which is quite considerably dearer than the other ones. I do rate Audio Note. They make some real quality gear, and I would say that their capacitors are equally as good. So that may be something I might go down if he doesn't get the other ones back in stock. But as I say, let's come off of here. Let's go on to the humble hi-fi. So this is his page here. And as you scroll down, he lists all of these different capacitors. Okay, and he gives them a verdict, a rating. And you can see some of them get better ratings, and he reviews the sound of them. And some of them are not very good, others are better. So these Uri caps, which I'm using in the Monitor Audio Radius 90s, get a verdict of 11, which is very good. The Uri Cap XO, so that is a very good capacitor. Then you come down and you've got like these likes of these audiophile ones. Now I'm not very familiar with these, but they only get a 7. So you can see some of them only get 6.5. These are electrolytic, so you wouldn't really use those in in the signal path, not in my opinion. But some people will, and they only get a 5. These Benick only get a -6. And then you come down to their film capacitors, a 7, 6.5. So in the Monitor Audio Radius 90s, they were using these ones. And I replaced these from 6.5 to the Uri Cap XOs. And it transformed the sound of those speakers. They, again, all these companies, they skimp on the crossover design because that's where they can save the most amount of money. Often the drivers and the tweeters tend to be quite good quality in many respects. So then you come down to these clarity caps. These are made in the UK, believe it or not. So I think they're based in Wales. So there's plenty of capacitors here, and you can see some of them get better ratings than others. Now, when you read up about the sound and how they change the sound, that is where you might say my speakers are lacking a bit of bass, and you want to try to improve that. There's other ways of doing it as well, like the insulation inside the cabinet, and damping the cabinet can improve all sorts of different aspects of the sound quality of your speakers. But there's no doubt about it that the crossover, in my opinion, in my experience of doing this for a while now, is a part that definitely really improves the sound quality. So you get Jensen audio here. These capacitors, they're very expensive, 12.5. And then these Julans are really, this one here, 14.5. Now, I can imagine that is a very expensive capacitor to buy. They sell them on Hi-Fi Collective. This one gets a verdict of 15. So I would say if you're building a very nice set of speakers using ScanSpeak drivers and tweeters, and you could really go to town and get a fabulous set of speakers, and they would still cost you less than what you would buy a high-end set of speakers, and they would definitely sound better if they're well designed and the cabinet's made well. You keep coming down, see that it got loads of stuff on there. So this is the humble homemadehifi.com. So definitely check out this this site. So there's endless stuff on here. So I've got some of these to go into the Sony Blu-ray player out in the studio. They get a 7+ verdict, but what they've got in there at the moment is a polyester film cap that gets 5.5. So I've gone up a little bit with him. And again, here we got some another nice capacitors here. Fostec CS copper tin foil. So they're obviously copper plated tin, I'd say. Music. Yep. Endless stuff here. That's very nice. So these are also quite a good make. And then you're coming into your Jansens here. Now, these are what I'm using in my speakers at the moment. They get a verdict of 11. When you go down to the aluminium ones, they get a 11.5, which I was toying on getting those originally, but I didn't think it would be enough of an uplift. So these are the ones I want to go for. They get a 12.5. These are the amber Z caps. So these are the JB caps here. Okay, these are the premium film caps. They get a 7. Now, I quite rate these for the price. They're very cheap, and they're not bad for the money. I tell you, you could spend a hell of a lot more and not get a lot better sound than these. These are, I really rate those. Now they do a really nice one here. This one here. Now I can't seem to buy one of those. I've contacted JB Caps direct, and they won't supply me them. They want to sell me thousands of them. And Hi-Fi Collective don't stock them. And also I found one company, but they only stock a 2.2, and I wanted something different. And these JB caps here, they get a verdict of an 11, which is quite good. So, and they're reasonably priced. These are pure aluminium foil capacitors. So they do make some better ones, and then they make these superior film caps here. Then you get down to Jupiter, which is very expensive. This one only gets a 12, but highly expensive, and you've got to really have a really high end. So if you're building speakers on a budget, then you would go, I mean, always try to get the best you can, really, because it will improve them. And so these are a polystyrene capacitor here, but he doesn't give a rating on these, so I can't tell you. But the polystyrene capacitors, the worst part about those is they're only in very low values, and I think you can get one up to 1 microfarad, but that's it. The rest of them are all in picofarads. So 0.47 microfarad is the same as 47,000 picofarad, I think. I think I've got that right. Don't take that literally, but that is, I'm sure that's it. My brain is frazzled these days with all these facts and figures. But also these Leclanchi, I'm using those in the phono preamp. I'd say they're okay. They're only 7.5 verdict. But again, all these things are what's the words now? Subjective. But you have to get an idea from other people that have tried them, and then you do make your own mind up. But when you're spending a lot of money on capacitors, once you've soldered it into a piece of equipment, you can't return it. So that's why you need, this is a very good site. I like this site, and I sort of, while I've been reading all the information on here, I get the sense that I feel like I know what the guy who's wrote all this, who's reviewed all this, is coming from. So I do think that he's pretty honest with his reviews on here. Yeah, there's endless stuff. So always do your read ups. Definitely check this site out if you're looking to upgrade film caps. This is mainly about film caps on here. If you're looking to upgrade film caps, definitely check this site out and give them a try. And then you can then pop onto wherever you like buying your caps from. So I'm using these in the tweeter section on the Tweaker Man medium monitors in the studio out there that were in the AV room originally. Now these ain't bad for the money. They're reasonably priced. They give them an 8.5 verdict. These are the silver gold ones that are even more money, but sometimes they can be over bright. So have a good read of these, it'll give you an idea, because when you're buying this stuff, as I say, once you fit it in, you can't return it. You could sell it on eBay, but I don't know how well used capacitors sell for on there, even though it probably wouldn't have been used much. So, and also on the likes of Hi-Fi Collective's site, on the read-ups of the write-ups of the capacitors, it gives you an idea on there what it sounds like as well. So it's all good. So I just wanted to do a video today to show you these capacitors are quite good. This Rourke make, and at the moment he's got these on Hi-Fi Collective because some of the writing has got a bit worn out for some reason. They've been stored somewhere, and he's doing a deal on these. And I'm thinking of buying a few of these anyway. But these are aluminium foil in oil capacitors. So paper, polypropylene, aluminium oil capacitors. See, these may not be pure aluminium foil. These look like these are polypropylene, and they've had aluminium plated to them again. So I don't think plating is nowhere near as good as a pure copper foil or pure aluminium foil. So I think that's it for this video. It's only a video. I wanted to explain about capacitors. I wouldn't say I was the most experienced in them, but I've learned a hell of a lot over the last so many years, and experimented with a lot of stuff. What he doesn't have on here is the Toshin Kongyo paper in oil capacitors, which I put into the Quad QC24 preamp. Now I really rate those, they're really good, but now I'm dying to find some copper foil in oil capacitors to go in there, because they will still be better, and I get drawn in and then I can't stop. It's terrible. But yes, so I think that's it for this video. So definitely check this site out. Check out Hi-Fi Collective's site, because they're really helpful there. Check out other sites as well. As I said, I'm not here to promote Hi-Fi Collective. They don't what's the words, sponsor my channel or anything, but I just get on really well with the guys down there. They're really good and that. So thanks for watching another Tweaker Man video. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to give this video a like, and don't forget to press that notification bell so you're notified each time I upload a new video. And thank you for watching, guys.